Hello, today I am building a two-bedroom, one-bathroom cottage in Chestnut Ridge. Last week, The Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy came out, and I really loved the swatches of the new Wisteria that comes with that pack. And I said last week that I really wanted to do a build that features that, so that was kind of what my idea was going into this build. I also really wanted to use the new shutters, which you could see right here, the green ones that I have that I pair with some of the like broken life and death windows. So going into this, I really just wanted to use the items that I loved when I was working on my castle last week, but didn't really fit the theme or what I was going for in that build. So I was like, I'm gonna do another one next week. I'm not gonna limit the pack, so I haven't even done a like non-pack limited build since I think December. So this is me getting back into it, kind of just using some of the items that I really love and what I'm comfortable with and just mixing it in with some of the new items that we got from both Royalty and Legacy and the Tea Time Solarium kit because I use some of the stained glass windows from the new kit, which I think is some of my new favorite stained glass that we have. You'll see those being added a little bit later on. I think that they look really nice with all of the other pack items that I'd picked out. I mix in, like, I think three different windows. I use the new ones from the kit. I use the life and death ones, which you see here. And I swap out that life and death one for something else. And I end up going with my favorite windows from For Rent. I really love those ones. And I think they look really nice with the stained glass too. So that's like the bulk of the windows is the stained glass as well as the For Rent ones. And I do put in some of the get together windows that I love that has like the shutters built into it. I do end up changing it from where I just placed it, and that's where I put some of the stained glass that we just got. But I think I still use some of it on the other side of the house. I really didn't consider the stained glass windows right away until I was pretty much done with a lot of the outside of the house. I was like, you know what? I think this will look really nice. And it definitely helped to open the place up a little bit and make it feel less dark because it is a pretty small build inside. When I was starting this, I really didn't want to do anything too big. And you could see it's a very simple shape. I kind of just went with an L shape. And I was like, all right, I can make this look cute just from like this size. I managed to fit two bedrooms in here. One of the bedrooms is very tiny. All that fit in there was a bed and a dresser. So that could, like, you could change that into an office space if you want, but I did put a desk in the living room area because the living room is fairly large and I was able to use some of the new sectional stuff that also came with Royalty and Legacy. I was able to use a lot of the wooden furniture in this build that came in Royalty and Legacy. It's pretty much everything that didn't fit the theme of last week's castle, but I was able to make it work in this build, which I knew was going to be the case because a lot of the new stuff that came with the pack, I felt like would match my style very well and match the other items that I really love. And so this build was definitely allowing me to actually use the stuff that I couldn't use last week. I did use the stone fences last week in my castle build, and I felt like they looked really nice as accent pieces on the fence for this yard. And I paired it with a darker stone of the cottage living fence, and I really love how it turned out. I really like the landscape that I settle with. I'm pretty sure I used some of the romantic garden flowers, which last week I was saying how I felt like this pack would work really well with the like romantic garden stuff. And so I wanted to make sure that I used some of that in the landscape, so I'm pretty sure I used flowers mixed in with like other purple flowers from other packs and stuff like that. I feel like it turned out really pretty. You would have seen it at the start of the video. And I did use some of the new stone walls that came with the new expansion pack too. So you could see the gray with the like mossy pieces at the top and at the bottom that like merge together a little bit. I really love this stone and it reminded me of the stone from the Castle Estates kit, except this one has like the green moss on it, which I really prefer. And so if I'm going to use a stone wall like that for like an accent piece in my builds, probably going to lean towards this one because I do really like the moss that is on there. And normally I feel like I put on the like slime wall pieces or like decals from Strangerville. And so I always put like the green slime on stone usually. And I don't really have to do that with this because there is like those green accent pieces, which I didn't really think about until now. And thinking about that, now it's like I feel called to do another swampy witch build, which like used to be something I did pretty often, but I haven't really done in a while. So I feel like anything that I want to do again, it just feels new to me because it has been so long since I've done something like that. So maybe I will next week. I was thinking about doing a like countryside build, which maybe is going to be a starter home, so that's like an idea that I have, but I'm gonna put Swamp Witch down too so that I kind of remember. And maybe I'm just pre-planning for like weeks in advance of builds, which is good because I really struggled with finding inspiration in the last couple of months. That's why I was doing a lot of the pack limited builds because it really helped me to just create stuff with a bit of a challenge and encourage me to build. And now I'm doing a non-pack limited build after, I guess, a couple of months. I'm still going to continue doing pack limited builds. I was really having a lot of fun with picking like one of each pack type and doing a build for it. So I'm definitely going to like continue doing that, especially when I don't really know what I want to make, which I don't know, maybe that'll be next week, maybe it won't. I'm really not sure what I'm going to do next week yet. And I'm just happy that when I built this, it came together really nicely without me struggling way too much because I was a little bit worried starting a build without like limiting packs and stuff because I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing anymore. And so I did the simple shape, but I actually really like this shape for it. It is just a simple L shape, and then I just have like a couple of pieces like kind of off of the main L shape just to make it a little bit more interesting and help with the roofing a bit because if it's just like an L shape, it's not really like visually interesting. You could say I have room sticking out that's usually like 1 to 2 tiles long on like different pieces of the build. It's a really simple and easy way to make a build just look a little bit better. It also adds a bit more space to the build as well. Like this piece off in the back here is like an extra tile wide, and it helped make the living room a bit bigger. And then that space in the front, which is like a couple of tiles that helps with the bedroom, and then the piece off to the left made it so that I could actually fit another bedroom in this build. The other bedroom is like the same size as the bathroom. Like I said, that bedroom is very tiny, but at least there is another space for another bed. And I feel like this build maybe has potential of like if you wanted to renovate and make it a little bit bigger, I think maybe it could be easy to do so if you kind of just like move the lot over a little bit to the right because it is just all built on the left of the lot. So if you moved it over a little bit, adjusted some of the fences, you could probably get away with like expanding some of the rooms out, maybe even making a second floor if you can somehow fit a staircase in the long hallway. The only issue is that there are so many archways in that hallway, so it'd be kind of hard to figure out where a staircase would go. But I think that would be possible. I was playing around with the idea of making this 2 stories, but I just didn't want to take that on when I was building it. Because when I was starting it, I was like, maybe I will have a square room at the like second floor of the build, and then I was like, no, I'm just going to do 1 story cottage today. It could be cute though. I'm imagining a square room and then like a balcony and then maybe another tower and having a library and maybe a cauldron up there. That would have been really cool to have done. If I did that, I would have had to use ladders, which isn't too horrible, but I feel like that would be really cute for this build because I do feel like when I was doing this, I was like, oh yeah, this is like a little witch cottage, but I didn't actually add anything in that would be for spellcasters, but to me, that's what this was kind of reading as when I was doing the exterior of it. Now I can't stop thinking about that tower idea for a build like this. And you know what, if I do a Swamp Witch build, I could definitely do that where most of the build is just on the first floor. And then I have a larger tower base that has a like tall bookshelves. And then I have a slightly smaller tower on top of it with a balcony that you can sit outside on, and then up in the top of that could have a cauldron. So, you know what? I guess I'm pre-planning another build while I'm doing this voiceover for this. But now we're on the like landscape for this. I actually really love how the garden turned out. One of my favorite things to do when I don't really feel like using like raised up terrain or ponds and stuff is I really love finding balance in different flower heights. And so that's what I was doing here, where I just like create little areas that have dense flowers in some spots, and kind of with the idea that I'll have a winding pathway leading through the build. At first, I block off the back of the build with a lot of flowers, and then I realized that it would look really nice to have cobblestone leading towards the back and then like opening up that fence a bit to another part of the yard because there is so much empty space in the back of this build. So that's what I did for that. I didn't really put too much in the back except for like a couple of benches, but that could end up being a nice place to add some gardening stuff if you wanted to. Also, if some trees got deleted back there, I could have done a little farm with like a chicken coop or one of like the larger barns for the larger animals. It's kinda nice that the slot is so large because it does give a lot of possibilities on how a lot of the space can be used. Like, if the house wanted to be a bit bigger or, like, you wanted to expand it to have some other activities in the back, there is a lot of space for that. I didn't do too much in this, like, second half of the backyard. It really is just trees and flowers and a couple of benches. One thing I did notice that I didn't notice last week when I was looking at the new pack items is that there is like a really cute mossy cobblestone terrain paint, which I'm about to pull out now. So I was going through and I was like, oh my God, I didn't use this one last week. I'm pretty sure I used the other one that doesn't have the green moss in it. This is something I've been wanting for a very long time, and I was like, "I really wish that we had stone that had, like, the moss on it just, like, in the terrain paint," and I don't know if we have one like that, unless I'm just, like, not really remembering it, but I was really happy to see this swatch of it, because last week I was saying how we got so many different terrain paints in this expansion pack, which is wild because we really haven't been getting any terrain paints, which has always disappointed me in like every pack that has came out that we don't get any terrain paints for it. And this one definitely made up for it because we got so many. And this one is one of my new favorites too because the stones are so small. And like all the other terrain paints I always use are usually from base game. And the stones are just like really large. And sometimes I just want very cute small stone pathway and that's like not too bright too, so I really think that the green in this one really helps to tone it down a bit because normally I have to put dirt over some of the stone or I have to layer different things on top to get it to the like where I like it, and this it was like just really perfect for what I wanted and what I probably will be using in a lot of my builds. So that was really exciting to discover when I was doing this. And I really loved this fountain, but I don't end up using it because I felt like it made the front yard way too busy. But it also kind of reminded me of a house that I used to see in like the summers when I was a kid and I would just like walk around with my friends all the time. And if you go through like a certain trail, there would be this house sort of on the other side of it and their whole like side yard was like full of all these different statues and stuff and it always looked so cool and they had a shed back there that also kind of just like felt very magical. And so when I was putting that fountain there, that's kind of what it reminded me of, and I was like, wow, that would be such a beautiful concept for a Sims build too. Apparently I'm just thinking of a million build ideas right now that half the times I'll forget about, but I did actually write down some of my build ideas in my planner, so I don't think some of them will be lost. But before I talk over it, this is the point where I decided that I wanted to use the stained glass windows that came with the new kit. And I was seeing if I could use the archway in there. It is a very beautiful archway. I'll have to use that in another build on like an interior at some point. I think it'll look really cute. But I am happy that I actually went with the stained glass because like I said earlier, the build is so tiny and the windows are so small. There's not really a lot of light going in. You could see that like each window kind of has like a lot of design on it. So it's not really, I don't know, it just feels very like closed in. And so just adding some of those stained glass windows that are like floor to ceiling really helps and really makes the kitchen look a lot like brighter, as well as the living room area too. And I'm using some of the tiles that came with Royalty and Legacy too, which I really love. I love these tiles. Once again, I couldn't have the kitchen be the right tile size to actually have the full 4 square tiles. So once again, it's kind of cut off, but I was like, whatever. I still want to use it, so I'm going to use it. And I'm using the kitchen stuff from the new expansion pack again, which I really love. I'm using it in yellow for this one. I really love this kitchen overall. I find a really cute tablecloth that came with the new, I think it's the new kit. We'll see, because I go through a bunch of them. So this one. It kind of looks like the cottage living tablecloth, but has some different designs on it. And this one had lemons, which I thought would look really nice in here because I already have a bunch of yellow and I felt like it just feels very summery, which I really loved, especially with just like the landscape outside with all the greenery and all the purple and stuff. It feels very summer, which is really nice. And I think I'm just craving that in video games right now because it's been snowy for so long, and I love the snow, I really do, and so I'm gonna miss it when all the snow is gone, but I've gotten tired of snow in Animal Crossing, and so I think I'm just trying to, like, live out, like, it being spring again in another game, and so that's what I'm doing in The Sims right now, and I really did wanna do a nice floral garden build. I was like, last week, I almost did a, like, tea garden with a bunch of flowers and stuff, and instead I ended up doing my castle build instead. So now I'm like really just getting to mix everything that I wanted to do last week, but in a very tiny build that is just like very typical for me, using a lot of my favorite items. You could see that I like always use like the horse ranch wood panels that I have on the outside of the build that I was kind of looking to see if I wanted to put it on the inside. This life and death wooden flooring too, some of the realm of magic wallpaper. I was testing to see what other sort of backsplashes I wanted to use. I don't know what pack this tile wall is from because I've never used it before, but I really love how it looked in the kitchen, so I had to use it. I really could not tell you where it came from though, because I really have never used it before. But I also just am going in and putting in some different wallpapers that I was like trying to use different swatches that I don't usually use. Like, I love the Realm of Magic wallpaper that I have in the back living room where like the stained glass is. That's like the one that I usually go for. I don't usually go for the one I put in the bathroom, but I really love how that looks. And it's like, because that sort of wood tone that's very orange is a wood tone that I don't normally use in my builds. I find it really hard to decorate with, but I really loved it with this flooring. And I was like, you know what? I've like never used this. And so I'm going to put it in the bathroom. I think it looks really nice. And I like the wallpaper part of it. That's like kind of a light blue or a light green, maybe like a mixture of both. And then that had me pick out a green wallpaper from cottage living in the bedroom space. And it's just like when I was looking at it from like above, I thought all the wallpapers looked really nice together. And so I really liked that. Like, mostly each room has the swatch that I'm comfortable using, but then just having the 2 smaller rooms have a different wallpaper, I think really helped because it would have just ended up being all the same wallpaper throughout everything. And I was trying to find some curtains that work, but I did remove my mod, so the like free placing curtain mod wasn't in. And every time I remove it, I forget about it because at this point, it just feels like it's part of the game for me where I'm like, oh, why can't I put the curtain here? I guess this is how it actually is in the game. And I'm just so used to having this mod installed. But I use my one of my favorite curtains. I think that one's from the Cozy Bistro kit, and pretty sure I just put that in this room too, which is just very tiny bedroom. I was able to use the one of the new beds from the new expansion pack, and I thought it looked really nice with the taller dresser from Realm of Magic, and I just put some clutter on top that is also from the new expansion pack. And I'm using these lights that I thought looked really nice in this build from the Cozy Bistro kit, which I don't really often use these lights, so it's nice getting to use them. I thought that they fit really well in like each of the rooms and was just the right amount of light that I needed. I think I go back and forth a little bit at some point to change the lighting to a warmer color because right now I was like just in build mode from the world, but then I end up going into the household to adjust the lighting a little bit so it's less harsh. And I wanted some plants out here. I thought that these like sort of vegetable plants that are from one of the new kits, the like garden to table kit. Thought that was cute out there. So it looks like they go out there and they are growing some herbs and stuff. This was the clutter that I had just talked about before. I could see myself using the clutter from Royalty and Legacy a lot. I think that it's really beautiful and will look really nice with a lot of antique books, different like spell books and potions and stuff. I think it'll look really nice. And the living room, this is when I got to use the new sectional, which I didn't actually get to fully look at yet. And it looks really nice. I like it in the neutral swatch, and I just fit it in the room where it could fit. And then there's some like extra space towards the back. So I ended up moving the desk over towards like the back of the couch. So the room is kind of split into two, where it's like one part is the living room, and then towards the back is more of like a study. And that is also one of the new desks that came with the expansion, too. I really love the wood carvings on the furniture that came in the new pack, both like in this table. There was also some like there was like a coffee table, I think, as well as a little bench I feel like I had seen when I was trying to pick out stuff for the foyer. So there's some really cute options that I could see myself using a lot. But I think I'm going to use the sectional couch quite often. I think I always struggle picking out a couch because I always end up using the same ones. And I feel like this one is perfect for me. So I'm definitely going to be using the sectional in spaces that I think I can manage to fit one in. I thought this table looked really nice with the life and death chair. I feel like it just like paired very like well together, which is nice to be doing a like non-pack limited build with the expansion pack now, so I could kind of see like what other items that I love can go with some of the new stuff and find some new favorites. And I found a lot of stuff that I really like from the pack, both last week and this week, because I got to play around with the different styles of the pack and look through what I liked from each of them. Also, I was able to use one of the like woven rugs that I think I mentioned last week. I used it in the smaller bedroom over there. I think that's going to be a new favorite rug of mine. I was trying to use the this runner from the new pack too, but for some reason my eye was just constantly being drawn to that. So end up switching that one out to a different runner that I usually use. I don't remember which pack it was from, but I guess we'll see after when I get around to switching it out. And I just did like two different end tables or side tables for the bed. Another one of my favorite beds that have like a little canopy on top too. These lamps that are from the new pack as well. I probably could have used the new double bed in there, but I feel like maybe I didn't because I think it would have closed off the room too much because of how like bulky the top part is, and this bed feels a lot more open, which I say the like small room has the sort of like top over the bed, but I feel like that's like a cozy space to me. But then like a larger double bed with that that room just felt like it would be too much for some reason. I also really liked adding this record player into here. I feel like it was like the perfect small addition and it fit perfectly in the corner over there. I was really struggling with trying to find a place for the, like, the TV stuff and having something right underneath the TV as well as a coffee table. I don't know how well that space is functional, so I might have to change some things around when I get to play testing before I upload it to the gallery because I'm not completely sure that your Sims can get around to each of those. So I'm gonna have to see what it is. I also liked the artwork that I added. It was just like a nature press from Enchanted by Nature and then the Fool tarot print from Life and Death. So yeah, I switch out the runner to this one, which I think is from Vampires. I don't know if this made much of a difference, but I felt like I liked it better than the new rug in here. And that's when I had seen like the new bench that comes with the new pack too. I thought that was really cute, but I wanted something with a cushion on it, so I just grabbed a base game one and put it off into the corner over there. And the build is pretty much done. I was just adding some extra items in. We got a new dresser from the pack too that fit that space perfectly in here. I couldn't have asked for a better dresser. So it was really nice to have one that worked really well. I added a little mirror off to the side and just some more curtains on some of the windows. I think that's the only life and death window I used in here. I originally had a couple of them and then it like narrowed down to just one of those ones. But I still liked the look of it, and especially with the beaded curtain there. And I really didn't know what to do back here. I added some more flowers, but I think it would have been a nice idea to make that like a more of a garden and farm area back here, but I wasn't really thinking that when I was building this. And now I'm just showing the screenshots of the builds. I really do love the items that I knew that I was going to love, especially on the exterior of the build. And I was really happy to find some other items that look really nice with all of my other favorite items in the game. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I should have another build video up next week. I'm not sure which of my many ideas I will do next, but I'll also find out soon and I'm excited to share it with you all next week. So I'll see you then. Bye.